I'm Jeremy White, and that was some of the most complimentary football that ever complimentary footballed.
I'm Joe Marino, and I guess I should pick the Bills to lose more often.
I'm Big O the Clown, and why do I feel elated and want to puke all at the same time? This is the Locked On Network, and you're watching Bill Squad.
Who's ready, Bills Mafia? It's the Bills Squad. Everything Buffalo Bills, every week. Breaking down the big hits and game-changing plays the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. So gear up and squad up. The Bill Squad show starts now.
And welcome in Bills Mafia, Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the Big O, Jerry Ostrowski, following the Bills' win over the Kansas City Chiefs. A big win, a big game for a lot of individual players, and a lot to talk about. This episode of Bill Squad is brought to you by FanDuel. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. The Bills win, improving to 6-2. They fluster Patrick Mahomes. They get their passing game going, and they make the three of us. You guys have clown hair. I'm just got the idiot sign. We all picked against them, and the Bills look dangerous in the process. A new look defense, a passing game that gets the ball down the field. And I just feel like Sean McDermott had the best game of his entire life when it comes to complimentary football. There's so much to get to, guys. So much went great for this team in this game, in this win. So we'll get your comments in. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, what you want to talk about for those of you that are tuning in here on the stream, and we'll get to it. You guys were, before we went on, giggling, giddy. I mean, there's a lot of things to come out of this game that are really, really exciting. So, Joe, you go first. Number one thing you're excited about to come out of this win for the Bills over the Chiefs, who had been the toast of the league for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's 100% the passing offense. That's what we needed to see. Josh Allen going 23 of 26. I think there's a completion percentage record there. You have passing completions of 18, 28, 30, 20, 47. We needed to see these types of plays made in the passing game, and we saw it. I mean, obviously there's so much to get into with the run game, the defense, so much fun there. Flustering Patrick Mahomes at time, but nothing more important to me than seeing Josh Allen hitting some throws down the field to all kinds of different players, especially those tight ends. They were big tonight.
We've seen offense in the past. The thing that got me excited was this defensive change, this philosophy in the secondary where we allowed ourselves to play some man as well as some zone to let our young players be aggressive. When you see Cole Bishop not thinking about where he's supposed to drop to and just playing man coverage and playing free, I mean, he has the game of his life, 7 total tackles, 4 solo, one tackle for loss, 4 passes defended. I mean, an unbelievable game by Bishop. But then you got Hairston, who's first pick in the NFL, obviously, against Patrick Mahomes. That, to me, is the most exciting part of it. We've seen Bills' performances where the offense has played really, really well, but yet the defense has let them down. I was excited about this defense and that side of the ball. You know what? They gave up some plays, but they stayed aggressive. They kept their foot on the pedal. They went right back at it. And, you know, there is one huge aspect of that side of the ball that, like I alluded to at the cold open, makes me sick. But you know what? It's good to see that philosophy change on that side of the ball. And it was great to see the aggression and physicality, not only just the pass rush, but the defensive secondary.
So what makes you want to puke? I mean, we can get to that. Michael Hoyt leaves the game with an Achilles injury. They call for the cart. He waves off the cart and stays out there with his teammates, and we'll have to see, you know, what it ultimately is. Anytime you hear Achilles and you see a non-contact injury or something like that, like it didn't look great. I don't want to speculate, but what Hoyt was giving them is something that Bishop gave them, is something that Hairston gave them. I feel like we should talk about the defense to start, gentlemen, because they look way faster, way more juice, way more athletic, and whether that's scheme and talent or just the fact that they're allowing the talent to be the talent, like, man, that's as good as a defensive performance I've seen from a Sean McDermott, Bobby Babbage defense in how long, how many years, against a good quarterback too. Like, you can do it to Andy Dalton, whatever. They had Mahomes flustered most of this game.
Yeah, they really did. And credit to Sean McDermott for involving himself back into the defensive play calling, because I think there's a pretty significant benefit to that, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But boy, it was fun to watch the rush package. This team can rush the passer, and it sucks because it's probably going to be without Ed Oliver and Michael Hoyt the rest of the way. And Michael Hoyt was really instrumental in this defensive game plan with how they put him in the A gaps and the B gaps and kind of toyed a little bit with the protection schemes, with how he would rush, sometimes delay rush, sometimes be the spy. And they got Patrick Mahomes going backwards and sideways pretty quick. And that affected his rhythm. I mean, what was Patrick Mahomes? Did he even complete 50% of his passes in this game? He's 15 to 34. You take that all day long with an interception, sacked 3 times, pressured consistently. This was a really, really good job by this rush. You saw Bosa involved, Rousseau. And I think we're going to be left wondering how good this rush could have been this year. But obviously for this game, doing what it needed to do, complemented with some good coverage on the back end. Plays on the ball? What? Plays on the ball by Bills defensive backs? Come on now. This is a fun defensive effort, even though there was some of the vintage things that make you mad, some 3rd and longs, a 4th and 17. Like that stuff still happened, but they kept playing before the half, being able to hold them to 3 when they were threatening right there for 6. Yeah, that was big. So some big situational wins in this game. I thought they had a really good rush and coverage plan.
I think that one thing that the Chiefs did, of course, when they went back to the old faithful, they attacked the deep middle, and that's kind of soft in our pass protection, and they hit some plays there. But the thing that it stuck out to me about Hoyt, Hairston, Bishop now, you see these guys, you saw an energy on defense. I've talked about this in episodes past. It's like Bosa all of a sudden got animated, and it's like it's infectious, and they played with energy. They played with desire. They wanted to, they played with, like coaches like to use that term, strain. They were trying to get to the football. They were trying to get to the quarterback. And like Joe said, you hold Mahomes to under 50% completions. They had 350 yards on offense. And I can't say enough about this defense. As much as we love what the offense did, we've known and grown accustomed to, especially in this game, especially in the regular season, that our Josh Allen and that offense shows up. And one thing I was happy about, and an offensive lineman's always going to be happy about, is 4-minute drill. When you can line up in 4-minute drill and run that clock down to where, we do miss the field goal, but yet they only got 21 seconds to try to go down and score a touchdown. That is huge. And that running game of the Bills has been great all year, and it was continued to be great again today, especially against a pretty stout interior defensive line of the Chiefs. But yeah, that energy and what they brought to the table, that whole team fed off of it all game long.
It was not without its tense moments, of course, down the stretch there. There's going to be 4th and 17. I'm sure we'll have some stuff to talk about with that. Some stats from this game. So Mahomes goes 15 of 34, 6.1 yards per pass, an interception thrown, that to Max Hairston. He threw deep for Worthy once also, and Hairston there is step for step with him. I feel like if we're talking the last 2 top picks for the Bills defensively, Hairston, and then last year their top defensive pick is Bishop. Like, to me, this game is so much about what happened in the secondary. I know we're going to talk about the pass rush, and that, of course, was great. But you can't be good in rushing Patrick Mahomes unless you're buttoned up in the back end. And with these 5 receivers, like, Joe, we came in saying, who's it going to be they're going to pick to eat them apart? And nobody did.
No, they had the one drive where they got after Poyer a little bit. They had Rashee Rice isolated on him in the 19-yard completion, and Poyer wasn't able to close on that, and then a completion to Worthy after that. But yeah, I think you're right about that. There wasn't a consistent, hey, we're going to go after this guy. This is the where's Waldo? We're going to attack him right all game long. And they were really sound in the back end. Cam Lewis making plays on the ball. How many pass breakups did Cole Bishop have in this game? And so definitely they rose to this occasion. I thought there was going to be mismatches all over the field. And there were moments that the Bills in the long completion to Hollywood Brown that put them in position to score before the half. The Bills sent 7. They didn't get home. It's all right, well, we don't have anyone that can run with Hollywood Brown. So you had some moments where it got you, but more times than not, I think the Bills were in the right spots and were pretty sticky on the back end in ways that I was concerned they wouldn't be.
You look at this defense, and they were 2 of 3. Kansas City was 2 of 3 on 4th down. People, I made the mistake of going to the comments and look at some of the comments, but you got people clamoring that the 3rd down defense wasn't good. They held Kansas City to 3 of 13 on 3rd down. That's tremendous. And I think the biggest thing, again, when you look at this matchup, you looked at this game, and we talked about it on Thursday when we broke this game down. I know Joe talked about it in his various breakdowns of the game on Locked On. The pass rush had to be effective. That's the one kind of aspect we've never really had, how that pass rush affects secondary play. and they meshed so well today. And, they gave up the 4th and 17. By the way, I don't know if you've heard, Tony Romo thought that was a really genius idea by the coaching staff of the Chiefs. He brought it up about 72 times, but obviously Buffalo prepared, changed things up. I don't think Kansas City was ready for it. I really don't. I think as much as people like to clamor, I truly believe that Sean McDermott and that Bills coaching staff outcoached Andy Reid and his coaching staff today.
Yeah, I would say over the course of the game, yes, I obviously some big situational wins for the Chiefs in this game, but I think the pass rush was huge. I mean, Jerry, 3 sacks. You know how many quarterback hits the Bills got?
How many?
15.
Wow.
1-5. That's a ton on 34 dropbacks for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they were consistent. They were getting some shots on him. There was a couple that I thought, might have got the attention of the referees, but they were able to really affect Patrick Mahomes. And it was nice to see the Bills fluster an upper echelon quarterback. I mean, I kind of felt like Pat looked a lot like Josh did after that Falcons game where, going backwards, sideways, not having answers, throwing it into some tough spots. I mean, the Bills' rush and coverage showed up in a huge way. And I mean, like we talked about, this Chiefs offense was humming 5 games in a row with over 28 points, over 24 first downs, over 350 yards. They didn't hit any of those thresholds in this game.
And here's something else, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Joe. I apologize. Here's something else I think gets overlooked, and especially overlooked between past Chiefs games and today. This is the first time I really noticed it. The Bills' defense, if a pass was caught, 99% of the time, there was a physical tackle that was made. It was contested. It was, there was physicality. The back of the end zone before the end of the half when Bishop just completely lit up Kelsey. They made themselves known. Their presence was felt. And that is different than we've seen in the past. It really is. And you know what? Kansas City's going to get some plays. That's what they do. They're elite. I mean, we're sitting here talking about a victory, and we're complaining about 3 third-down conversions of 10 yards. Okay, that's great. I understand. There's some situations that could be better, but still, look at this 3 of 13. I mean, this is if somebody would have told us on Thursday, hey, would you take 6 of 12? I'd have been like, right here,
sign
dude.
me up. Yeah,
sign me up. 50%, I'll take it. But yet 3 of 13. I mean, just really good stuff by that Bills defense.
A great performance from the Bills defense in this game along the way to shutting down the Kansas City attack, holding them to 8 points in the second half, just that drive with the 4th and 17. Without that, they might end up pitching a second half shutout. That 4th and 17, Jerry, let's get to that play real quickly because Tony Romo made a point to say like he'd never seen a protection scheme like that ever before. And it was wild. Like Joey Bosa gets fooled because he doesn't know he's unblocked and he thinks something else is happening. Like, how unique a scheme was that as a protection scheme?
Well, I think what they did, and I got to go back and obviously look at it tomorrow when that All-22 comes out, but it almost seemed like they gave the appearance of a screen to that side. So they used the tackle. They used the tackle to come down inside and pick up the blitz that they knew was coming, and they held Bosa up with this screen kind of, motion or this idea that a screen was coming. So, of course, the vet that he is, he reads screen, he puts the brakes on, right? And that gives Mahomes just enough time to let that pass develop downfield. It was good. And like I said earlier, if you didn't hear Romo talk about it for 13 minutes in a row, you should go back and listen because he felt it was a good idea too.
It's like they wanted to invite like a scramble drill, but then they were kind of working the middle of the field. I mean, they're going for around 4th and 17. They must have thought they had something there that was going to work. And those are the moments that the Chiefs pull off. Fortunately, the Bills are able to overcome it.
And then they pull off a 4th and 1 as well with the touchdown play and, of course, the 2-point conversion as well. So some scary moments. But and then the Prater miss, which, hey, the doink there, it got tense. At the
what
end.
were you thinking, Jeremy? I know that you have a lot of thoughts about these situational moments. Your thoughts on McDermott's choice to kick that field goal at the end?
I thought it was fine. Because of the point made on the broadcast a bunch, which was they have so little time and they need a touchdown. Even after he misses, I think, all right, you've got 20 seconds. It's not for a field goal or field goal range. You got to get all the way down the field and with no timeouts also. So, like, once you get to that point, like, all right, I was not that worried that Mahomes and company were going to get into the end zone. I thought they might get a Hail Mary, which ultimately they kind of did, but I wasn't too worried about it. So I thought the kick was the right play. What's the best chance you've got? It's 4th and what on that play? 4th and 6?
I think it was 6.
Okay,
I was
4th
thinking
and
throw
6.
the ball. I was thinking throw the ball for the same reasons. Like, okay, Josh Allen, be the MVP, go get the first down, and this thing's over. Where, I don't know, I've seen too many block kicks in the NFL this year. They got Dave Tubes, a good special teams coordinator. The Bills, I think there's been a few moments where they were close on some blocks. And then, I mean, ultimately that's a reasonably short field. Like, it's well within Mahomes' realm of possibility to pull off a drive there. And I get nervous about just like one pass interference in the end zone. And now it's a goal to go from the 1 or something like that. I mean, obviously it worked out, but in my mind, I was like, just go for it and live with it. But I understand. It worked. The Bills won.
They won. We all picked them to lose. I'm noticing on the stream, Joe and Jerry have their clown wigs on. I've got an idiot sign. I mean to hold it like I'm an idiot. When I hold it up, it looks like I'm singing about Joe. So that's why I put it down. That's why I put it down. I don't have a clown wig. If I had a clown wig, I'd put that on. All right. We'll get a break in. We'll get some comments in. We got to talk about Dalton Kincaid here in this game because, play action was a big thing. They went to Kincaid quite a bit. They had air yards on throws, reset the counter on 20 air yard throws. So lots and lots to get to. Your comments as well. If you're here for the first time, welcome. We do post games, after games. We do midweek as well. We do 2 shows a week on YouTube, and it's all part of the Locked On Bills channel that you know Joe so well from. So give us a like, a subscribe, drop a comment, drop whatever, a thought. Bills win. It's a victory Sunday. Tomorrow a victory Monday after the Bills get a win over the Chiefs and look pretty darn good, pretty dangerous in the process. So when we return, Kincaid and the rest of the offense, what they did differently this week. It's coming up here on the Bill Squad Show.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Back here on the Bill Squad Show, Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the Big O, Jerry Ostrowski, off the Bills win over the Kansas City Chiefs. They win 28-21, and in the process, the defense is going to get a lot of credit, as it should. But Dalton Kincaid with I don't want to say a breakout performance. He's had pretty big games before, but this one might be the most meaningful in terms of making him look like a weapon. 6 for 101 and a touchdown, including a 47-yard pass play. The Bills had pass plays of 47, 20, 30, 28, and 18 along the way. There were explosive plays in the pass game. And guys, I mean, we talk a lot of different things about this team, but that is the thing that will always excite me the most and think they are the most dangerous, is finding the explosives in the pass game. And they had those today, and Kincaid was the biggest part of that.
You're on mute, Joe.
Absolutely needed it, right? Dalton Kincaid can get loose, open in the middle of the field, and I thought that was the right idea. This was an inside-the-numbers game. Bills didn't have matchup advantages on the perimeter, and so good job of kind of having those routes, posts, in-breakers, kind of working that middle of the field and finding space. Josh did well to hang in there at times and throw it down the field, and I think obviously Kincaid is critical for this team. I'm guessing that he was probably on a bit of a pitch count last week, but you felt the difference in the passing offense with and without him on the field. And we saw it for, a game against the Falcons. And of course, pretty much not much of a factor against Carolina with only playing 14 snaps. This passing offense is best when Dalton Kincaid's out there, and he looks like a true, mismatched tight end. This isn't like dump it down in space and go create. He's making plays down the field, over the middle of the field, how you'd like to see from a tight end. And so this coming together is big. The Bills needed something like this to happen for their offense.
And I know it was only a few times, but did we not see verticality out of the slot position?
Elijah
I think
Moore,
we did.
yeah.
Elijah
Yeah.
Moore was a big catch. I think we saw something out of Shakir as well. So obviously, the passing game did progress a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they did keep some stuff from everybody else. They saved it for the Chiefs. I doubt it. I'm being tongue-in-cheek. But, no, that passing game was definitely effective. And Kincaid is becoming the guy that they all expected him to be.
Well, one thing we've been waiting for, you're talking about if they can do it when they want, and there's been different things that have stopped them in the passing game the last couple of weeks. One of the things that stopped them was the quarterback not seeing, getting impatient, and maybe the first big completion to Kincaid is Allen waiting and being patient in the pocket and kind of waiting for things to come to him. So a big part of that passing game returning was number 17 being up to it.
Yeah, he had an early bail. I think it led to a sack on a clean pocket, and so it was good to see him not let that continue throughout the course of the game. I'm obviously excited to see the all-22 and see how that played out, but this was a lot more comfortable of Josh in the pocket, which, this is a Spags defense. They pressure, and they did, right? They sent their pressure, but it felt like the Bills handled it. I know that there's some frustrating quick throws that were part of this equation, but I think that's kind of necessary against this type of defense. Like, where you have to make them honest and play lateral instead of just playing straight ahead all the time. And so for a game where this Chiefs pass rush had been pretty good this year, it was nice to see the Bills mostly handle that well, and for Josh to be able to keep his eyes down the field and make plays. And Mahomes didn't, right? Like, his eyes dropped and he drifted and got out of positions where he can actually find platforms and throw the football. So I thought you saw 17 handle it better than 15 tonight.
Definitely. I thought Josh did a lot of good things with his feet. Of course, the called run was nice. A couple of scrambles. While he did, it's funny when he does get sacked, it is that kind of situation where he does get antsy feet, and then that's when he goes down. If he would just hang a little longer, maybe get out cleanly. But no, I thought his progression, especially after the last few weeks and all the question marks and everything that was talked about, he did progress from where he was, and hopefully that continues as we roll through the season.
Tight ends often get free in these matchups. I mean, Kincaid 6 for 101, Knox 1 for 30, Hawes 1 for 18, and he got targeted twice in this game. Overall, there ended up being 9 targets to tight ends and 8 catches along the way. So it went really well for what they did throwing the ball to tight ends. Shakir 7 for 43. If there's one maybe complaint about this game, there are some key third downs where the screen came back out again, a third down screen. I think there's plenty of people that are going to kind of lean on those and say, like, I don't like that, but that's their effort to keep the clock moving, kind of be a little bit safe about it. Whatever. The conversation about the rest of their weapons might be reserved for later in the week or later in the show. But Kincaid and Allen and of course, James Cook. Like, I'm eager to see once again James Cook's yards over expected, because we're at the point, guys, where the first guy never gets Cook. He has so many guys on the edge, if they don't set the edge well, dead to rights, and it's like, oh, see you later. He's going to run right past them. He did it multiple times in this game.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, how many games in a row had it been for Kansas City that they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher? Cook goes 27 carries, 114 yards, and I mean, a lot of that was early in the game, and I thought they tightened the screws a little bit in the second half. Kansas City did with their run defense, but that was pretty uncommon for the Chiefs to give up that type of rushing production.
I'd have liked to have seen him be a little bit more intentional with how they handled Curtis Bolton. I think that Bolton gave him some fits in the run game because he is so fast. McGovern couldn't get to him after that first, couple of pitch plays, and where they got used to it. He got outside pretty quickly and had some free runs at some plays. I would have liked him to be a little bit more intentional with him, whether it was from outside in, where they brought in maybe their tight end or something down inside, ran more of a crack scheme, and then ran some fold stuff with McGovern to get outside. I think that they went completely straight downhill inside for the predominantly most of their runs as the game progressed, because of not being able to handle Bolton as well as they would have liked with McGovern. Because if you watched them, there wasn't a ton of like pure double team type stuff. A lot of times both guards were manned up. Center was trying to haul tail end to get to Bolton, and he was just too quick for McGovern.
Jeremy, I want to ask you a question, because you've had a lot of thoughts, and I've enjoyed your commentary on like pace of play and those types of things. And you were the first to really bring up the contrasting styles of these teams. Now, both are very good at possessing the ball, right? Both top 5 of possession. Both top 5 in time of possession per drive entering this game. They both get 10 possessions. We get a 28-21 game. The under hits. What did you come away thinking about just like the pace of this game and how both sides manage that?
Well, it's interesting. They both went for fourth downs around midfield, right? Like possessions in games like this, I just feel like a lot of times when we're talking about what you should do on fourth down and what a good score is and how you should play, the Bills and the Chiefs are two teams that live at the top. I don't care how I compare to a success rate of a team like Arizona. There's like 6 teams I care about. Where do I rank among those teams? And the Bills, I think I've found Sean McDermott's tell on fourth downs. If it's 2 yards, he's going to go, and if it's 3 yards, he's not going to go. That seems to be what it is right now. That early 4th and 2 they go for. I don't love the execution, the play, whatever. But I supported going for a 4th and 2 because possessions are so important. You kind of feel that at the end of these games, how important possession of the football is. And if I were to tell you, all right, do you want to try and get 2 yards here, or do you want to let Patrick Mahomes get 30? And he'll get 30 in a blink of an eye. So if I get 4th and 2, that's the really good way to keep him off the field, is to extend your own possessions. And, the Bills did what the Bills do. I had the stat for you guys during the week that regular season, the Chiefs' points per drive against the Bills is 2. How many drives they have? 10.
10. Yeah.
They scored 21.
Yeah.
This was a very vintage Bills regular season game against the Chiefs. And I guess I want to say this about the big picture, because you do have some Bills fans arguing with each other. Does it matter? What's it mean? And for me, it means a lot for the season. But what does it mean for the Chiefs? And if they're to meet again? For me, the regular season game is important because it establishes that I can beat that team. And now I have seen it. I've seen them harass the quarterback. I've seen them cover well. I've seen them have answers. I've seen McDermott throw blitzes that Patrick Mahomes was not ready for. The Benford blitz, out of nowhere. He's not expecting that. So, it's in there. And if they lose to them in the playoffs again, well, then the questions come up again. How come you have the answers at this time of year and not at that time of the year? And that's a question for that time. But I don't know if you guys feel differently about that. Bills fans have kind of talked themselves into that these wins don't matter. And I think that it definitely does matter.
100%, especially within the context of this game. Going into the year when everybody was 0-0 and I had my expectations for the season, I could have been talked into, I don't know, it hasn't mattered. Kansas City's 5-4 and their division leader is 7-2. That's a big deal. The Bills, if they would have dropped this game, they're 5-3, while New England would have been, are they 6-2 or 7-2?
7-2. They won today.
Right. So, that layer to this game was huge, where, we're not talking about who's going to be the 1 seed. We're talking about who might be able to host a playoff game based on their early returns this season. There's a lot of football left to be played, and, they're going to play all the games for a reason, but Kansas City's 5-4 and battling. They're probably not going to win their division, and this made it even tougher.
The other thing I look at is when you talk about the importance of a regular season win, you look at Buffalo. This wasn't a luck game. Granted, they had one, lucky call where the tipped pass was still called an intentional grounding when it should have been called off. You can't review it. I'm sure that'll be brought up in the owners' meetings in the offseason. But when you look at this, they put a specific new game plan in, played differently than they've played in the past, and they earned that victory. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a thing where they got, look at the turnovers. 1 turnover in the game, right? Yeah. Maxwell Hairston's pick, and it was really it was big, but it was also kind of inconsequential when you look at the whole scheme of things. Yeah,
to me, that's a 3rd and 10 arm punt. Right. That didn't end the game, but it was a stop for the defense.
Exactly.
How meaningful though for Hairston to make that play and intercept the ball. This guy's I've seen some of the quotes already. He said, my first career interceptions against Patrick Mahomes. I think that for him and his confidence and what he needs to be for this defense was really, really big. I know that in terms of field positioning, it's probably a wash, but the momentum from that was pretty huge.
Do you think the conversation about the deadline immediately turns to a Michael Hoyt replacement?
I don't know if you can find a Michael Hoyt replacement.
I know, but it really comes down to how necessary is someone that can do what he does. Because, we saw the Bills defense without him, and now we've seen him for 2 weeks, and there's a lot to like there. And if, in fact, it is as bad as we fear, does that just immediately rocket to the top? Because you've seen for a couple of weeks what that juice can bring.
personally, if I'm going to make a D-line trade, it's going to be for a D tackle than it's going to be for a defensive end, because understand, we still have a 3rd-round pick that doesn't get a jersey every week. Now, granted, maybe he hasn't progressed like we want, but we have no idea how he can progress because he hasn't been playing in games. So if I look at a Michael Hoyt replacement other than what we already have in Javon Solomon, I thought about this earlier. How do you do this if you're wanting to do it differently than with Javon Solomon like you did for the first 6 games of the year? Is this a point where you get Jackson up on the roster? He can compression rush and keep guys in the pocket like they like to do. And then do you take Rousseau and move Rousseau to the Michael Hoyt spot and let him do the stuff over top of the guard while standing up and affect things that way? That's an idea that I had, that I think that if Jackson you can get some sort of production out of him. Is that better than staying with Rousseau outside and Solomon inside?
Well, they've certainly tried it with Solomon, right? This wasn't like he stepped in this game because Hoyt left. They had a couple of weeks before Hoyt came in where you saw them start to tinker with this, and I'm like, really? It's Solomon rushing the A gaps and the B gaps, and it doesn't seem to be that effective to me. I think the point, going back to Jeremy's question about maybe trade deadline needs, I think you probably want some interior rush,
right?
In some way, shape, or form. I think it's hard to find the 1-for-1 for Hoyt because he is such a unique player, but if you can get some interior rush, it feels like that could be pretty meaningful. But I don't know. I'm still not satisfied at receiver as well, and so I that's heavy on my mind. Can you get a team to give you some of both? Is that cake and eat it too type scenario you try to?
Because I thought Ogunjobi did a decent job tonight of pressing the pocket. I thought he did, but the problem is this: you've got 68-year-old, Jordan playing Jordan. What's Jordan?
He collapsed that guard one time,
right? You got 68-year-old Jordan Phillips. Then you got Deion Walker, who went back tonight. I'll verify it on all 22, but there was a point in time there where he wasn't on the field for a long time because he was struggling stopping the run tonight. Didn't play very well. So yeah, if you're going to bring somebody in, you'd like to try to find somebody, because again, we had rookie, former practice squatter, old guy, practice squatter, and who was our other guy?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking about there's certain snaps I'm watching this game. It's like, wow, it's Phi Mathis, Jordan Phillips, Cam Lewis, and Jamarcus Ingram on the field.
Right.
It's like, wow, this is Mahomes in a high leverage game, and these are the players on the field. It's just what you have.
To that point, like, how are the Chiefs feeling about this game? You mentioned you've got those players on the field. Is it that the Bills were able to really exploit an offensive line that started to wear down over the course of the game? They suffered their own injuries. They lost the left tackle. The guard got injured, came back in. I don't know. Like, if you're Kansas City, let's flip it around. Do they feel anything about this game that makes them feel different about the Bills? Would it be just the physicality? Like, that's the hardest the Bills have ever played them?
I'm not sure it changes anything about the way they look at the Bills, but they're looking up at a 6-3 Chargers team that beat them once, and a Broncos team that's 7-2 and runs 6 in a row. As goofy as some of those wins were, and so I think they've got to figure out their own formula. They certainly came off of a great stretch, and I don't. And this is kind of like a division game too, right? Where these teams know each other so well, and these games are different. And so, like, you watch Baltimore when they're humming, struggle against Cleveland, you're like, oh, okay, it's a division game or whatever. And then Baltimore reminds you who they are. I think that's probably where Kansas City's at, but this is their big stretch. Their next one is at Denver. They're into the bye now. Then it's at Denver, and then they host Indy. Like, this was always the defining stretch of their season. And they got a lot to think about during their bye week, chewing on this Bills loss.
I do want to answer your question a little bit, Jeremy. I do think they were surprised how the Bills could get to Mahomes and rush the passer. I think that's something they have not seen out of the Bills in the last so many times that they played them. And a lot of that has to do with not just, the way they're able to affect them in their nickel, but also playing dime and doing the stuff with Dorian Williams, where he was then blitzing and playing spy and all that, which was outstanding when he was next to Hoyt. But, again, you saw some different things. Like, again, I keep talking about Ryan Nelson. As soon as that right tackle went out, where did Joey Bosa go? Right over top of the right tackle and won. So there's a lot. I mean, it's, to me, that rush is different than it's been in a long, long time.
Patrick Mahomes in this game had 5 yards rushing, which I did not think that was going to be the case coming in. To keep him hemmed in, to not let him make plays after the fact. I had this stat for you guys earlier in the week that after the first read, he's the best quarterback in football. He's been amazing this year. And whenever he'd have to go to the second read or kind of extend plays, I think Nate Geary, who's at WGR, I do pre-games with him, he had a comment, which was Mahomes in this game looked like Josh looked the last 2-3 weeks. Back there looking, it's not there, running around, taking a hit, taking a sack. And to me, that's a big surprise. The Bills were incredible at keeping him from getting loose on the ground because he's been doing that a lot this year, and he did not do that in this game.
Dorian Williams is a big part of that as well. He was part of the rush package where some of the long and late downs, it was him and Hoyt in the middle, and they would kind of both function as like a spy mirror player. And when they do that, it frees up their rush lanes so much. They have margin for error. Like, it's so hard to get to Mahomes with 4 and then like be disciplined with your rush lane. And if you're not disciplined with your rush lane, Pat's going to kill you because he's going to find those escape outlets. When you commit the double mirror player, I think that gives a lot more freedom to how you rush because there's that margin for error baked in. And so it worked. And I think that Dorian Williams deserves a lot of love for that plan as well.
And the other thing Dorian did that I really liked was you saw him sometimes he would go downhill and almost force contact like he was going to blitz.
Yeah.
And then would fall back off of it to get into that relation and toyed with it to pull blockers and stuff. So that pass rush game plan was really good.
Going to rip through some comments when we get back. Leave us a comment, like, and subscribe. We're here on our YouTube stream. We're here after games, doing post games for most of them, and midweek show as well. You like and subscribe. You can check us out as we roll through. Up next for the Bills, it'll be the Dolphins, and the division race is on in a very big way. And of course, Tuesday is the NFL trade deadline. Back in a moment and taking your comments, taking things you've got to say. And I got one thing I'm already seeing from Chiefs fans, which I'm going to urge Bills fans to take as a big victory itself. It's coming up next here on the Bill Squad Show. This episode is brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times help you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs wherever detail matters. Their TradeMaster perks, like priority shipping and dedicated support, make the whole process smoother. So join the free TradeMaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, back here on the Bill Squad Show, Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the Big O, Jerry Ostrowski. I got a comment here from our feed I want to get to you because I think this is a win. Ready? Here it is. It comes from Barry. Chiefs fans are out in force making excuses and blaming the refs. And I think we should all just agree that when these two teams play, the team that loses is going to be mad at the refs because they're two great teams. They play close games, and they can turn on officials' calls. I'd also like to take this opportunity to complain about rules officials in the booth in one spot. In this game, how amazing was it when Mahomes got called for the intentional grounding on a pass that got batted? And I will admit I'm keyed in on Gene Steratore and rules officials on the broadcast. His answer to Jim Nantz was, I don't see why not, when asked if they could challenge this. I don't see why not. He didn't know the rule. Gene Steratore didn't know the rule and didn't know that it couldn't be challenged. And that to me is just incredible. It was a crazy sequence. Mahomes, he might have been grounding it anyway, but the ball got tipped and you can't review that. And it was wonderful to see the rules analyst not know the rule. That's just personal for me.
Yeah, that was a big dub for you, Jeremy. Hey, he definitely said, I don't see why not.
I don't see why not. He's telling you just like, yeah, let's figure it out while we're out there.
Were you surprised that they called that a touchdown from Josh Allen on the rush? Because I saw some tweets out there and somebody said if that was a touchdown, then Josh definitely converted in the AFC Championship game.
I thought it was obviously a touchdown. You couldn't see the ball, but you know the ball is in his arms and you can see his arms, right? So I thought that was fine. The other thing, this is going to be a controversial take for me possibly, when Mahomes got buried by Epinesa on the sideline, like I'm surprised that didn't get flagged for roughing the passer. However, I think that the NFL needs to be aware. Why does Pat stop at the sideline and throw it? Because he's looking for that flag. 100%. Yeah. That's why he stops there. So, for all these spots where we would say, don't put yourself in danger, protect yourself, quarterbacks run to the sideline and stop to throw. It was a dangerous throw from him. He's 100% looking to get a flag. So to me in that spot, like, sorry, man, you opened yourself up to a hit and you got hit.
But look, 17's been taking acting lessons in his house too, because that one
he had
slide
a good one
that
today.
he had, he about gave himself whiplash.
Right.
I'm like, we about had a Stroud situation of him slamming his own head off of the turf because he whipped it back so hard. But yeah, they all do it. The theatrics are there, and really the people to point the finger at, it's not the quarterbacks trying to manipulate the rule. It's the silly rule that we have in place in the first anyway. So yeah, I say my piece.
Yeah. I appreciated it. I appreciate, going for it. The Bills pressured Patrick Mahomes on 52% of his dropbacks, the highest mark in their matchups since 2020. They played 10 times. Next Gen Stats puts it at 52% of his dropbacks. How much scheme? How much X's and O's? How much Jimmy's and Joe's, guys? You got to watch the film, but like in what you saw, how much was it? Was what the players on the field were able to bring?
I thought they had a good mix of scheme and guys win on one-on-one battles. You saw Bosa obviously get his share of one-on-one wins. Rousseau did as well. Epinesa, I thought, was really good. And I think whenever you have this like very coordinated rush plan where they were pretty deliberate about not getting like behind him, right? There was like a lot of good discipline to not get past the peak of the pocket. And I think that kept Pat from being able to find escape outlets. And so you saw one-on-one wins, you saw good scheme calls. And I think as important as any of that is, you saw a connected group on the back end that just didn't have space for these guys to run through all the time. So really, really good coordinated overall rush effort. And I think you got to tip your hat to McDermott and Nielsen and Babbage for pulling that one off.
I think the coaching in general was fantastic. The thing that I loved was we actually saw pure one-on-one physical battles won across the field. That to me, there wasn't schematics that won a lot of those plays. It was guys busting their rear ends to make plays and get in front of the football and those types of things. And that to me was a little bit different than we've seen. And obviously with the higher rate of man coverage, a couple of times you see Max Hairston run across the field with a guy just right in his pocket. Damn, man, that got me excited. That was like, hadn't seen that in a while, right? And I think that was the biggest thing. It was a great schemes by the coordinators, by McDermott. Like I said, I thought they outcoached Kansas City tonight, but also it was cool to see those one-on-one battles being won by guys in Bills uniforms.
I know that we've kind of shouted out Cole Bishop a few times, but obviously a huge game, impact plays, physical plays on the ball. I don't think we can overlook the value of Bishop not playing next to the hobbled Taylor Rapp at this point, right? Whether that's not having Rapp in there or Poyer or whatever, he's been able to help with Bishop, but there's confidence that is absolutely brewing with Bishop, and we're seeing him make some impact plays. And, it's been a while since we've seen that from the safety position. So it's good to see that kind of rounding into form. And I think those players around him are helping to unlock more of what he can help for this defense.
Some news here. The Bills have confirmed it, a Achilles tear for Michael Hoyt. So he is out for the year. That's just a season-ending injury. No questions asked. The Bills confirm Michael Hoyt tears his Achilles. Sean McDermott calling it a very big loss. Bittersweet. It does kind of, hangs a cloud over this win, which he'd be one of the reasons he'd be feeling great. So
that's back-to-back weeks, right? At Oliver last week, Hoyt this week. It's the defensive injuries for the Bills are just they cannot catch a break.
Right.
I don't want to be the hindsight guy, but as good as that pass rush was today, think about him and Ed Oliver playing together on that pass rush. That all of a sudden becomes top 10 elite.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's kind of puzzling from an injury standpoint. It's always the defense, and it's almost only the defense. I'd love to say that there's any sort of explanation for that, but like, what could it possibly be? your defense gets hurt and your offense, knock on wood, it really doesn't, right? The offensive line has had a crazy string of health, and injuries pop up from time to time. And even on the outside at receiver, like Palmer's out for a little bit of time here, but man, the injuries pile up and they're long-term injuries. So that is bad news on Michael Hoyt. McDermott also praising Cole Bishop's game, saying I could feel Cole out there. And just to kind of follow up what you said, Joe, what are we? Are we 2 months removed from wondering if Bishop was going to start?
Right.
And like really, really looking instinctive, looking like how about that one play? If he's got his eyes up, he's going to pick six on the play. He breaks up a pass going to the near side. Like
he might. Yeah, that was close. I'm looking for it. I didn't get to see a replay on that, but it looked like he was humming towards that ball. That could have been another game changer.
Yeah.
And, the question I ask is Jordan Poyer quietly solidifying the defensive secondary? I mean, he had 5 tackles again tonight. Really didn't stand out as, I know he got beat. Well, I think he got beat early, but I mean, and I know he gave up some, but still, I mean, this move all of a sudden, and then I'll say this comment too. I wonder sometimes if Shaq Thompson wouldn't have been playing tonight.
Same. And then, of course, like Taron Johnson also got hurt in practice. And a quote from McDermott just now that there was no shot that he was going to be able to play after popping up on the injury. So that could be a lengthy injury. So it's just the hits keep coming.
Yep. Dolphins next, then the Bucks. Like that could be a fun one. Could be a big one. And of course, all tracking towards New England, who won today. They beat the Falcons. They had a 10-point lead and had to kind of hold on. Their defense had to come up, make a couple stops, and ultimately they close it out. But that was worth watching, and missed extra point factors in there as well. All right, when we get back, we'll get more of your comments in as you want to join us here. It is the Bill Squad Show on the Locked On Bills channel, and drop a like, drop a subscribe, give us a comment. Bills win, a big win, 28-21 over the Kansas City Chiefs. And feels good, right? Victory Sunday, well underway. It is Jeremy, Joe, and Jerry O here on the Bill Squad Show. This episode of Bill Squad is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, the NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. You can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. If you miss the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, you can do that with FanDuel. They have live bets on everything from who will score to fourth-quarter comebacks. So if it's football, if it's the NBA, however you like to jump in, FanDuel Sportsbook has options for you. As a new customer, you can jump in. New customers right now getting $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're back here on the Bill Squad Show. Just 3 guys that picked the Bills to lose to the Chiefs and watch the Chiefs lose to the Bills, 28-21. Going through some of the numbers of this game, the Bills on third down defense were very good. The Chiefs went 3 for 13 on third down. The Bills offensively on third down, 7 of 12. In the red zone, Bills 3 for 3, Chiefs 2 for 3 in the red zone. So, a game that, like most of the ones that these two teams play, was ultimately pretty close. 404 total yards of offense for the Bills, 305 for the Chiefs. They were better offensively. They were better defensively. They look like the better team. And I wonder if they'll be thought of as the class of the AFC after a win like this. Get your power rankings out to see if the Bills are climbing back to the top, because I think they've got a really good case at it. Detroit did not look great today. The Colts lost to the Steelers today with 6 turnovers. So, the top team in the AFC is your Buffalo Bills. Would you say it?
Can we fly under the radar for a while? I would like to do that. Let's just enjoy this and just stay quiet.
Isn't it funny how it changes so fast in the NFL? We just now played the 8th game of the season. The Bills still have 9 more to go. There's a lot of football left to be played. This is a huge win. I think that affirms that the Bills are the type of team that belongs in that discussion, where I wasn't so sure entering this game. And so I'm really pleased with this win and what it kind of means for the outlook and some of the belief that it re-inspired inside of me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it was, like I said, it was good to see them compete and come out and play at a high level. It was good to see the change in schemes and the change in plan, and let's not go back to the same thing over and over again. I mean, just everything about it was aesthetically very, very pleasing to me.
Can I give you a stat of the day for this game? Bills PR just tweeted this out. Josh Allen establishes a new franchise record for completion percentage in a game, while the Bills also limited Patrick Mahomes to the lowest completion percentage of his career.
Wow.
So this game featured Josh Allen's career high in completion percentage and Patrick Mahomes' career low in completion percentage. And it was a 7-point game. So
that was an absolute flex.
How about good timing for James Cook's first catch in 3 games?
Right.
That 3rd and 3, obviously it leads to the missed field goal, but if they don't convert that 3rd and 3, that's an 11-yard gain. They're at the middle of the field. You're thinking about having to punt. At least you are able to take it down, another 2 minutes off the clock and force Kansas City to use all their timeouts. And so I think we can all admit that we want a little bit more James Cook, but if there was a time to holster that one catch, it was certainly in that moment. So it was good to see that.
Yeah. Let's get some comments in here. If you want to drop us a comment, we'll get to any questions you've got, any things you want to get to. We will bring that stuff up here on our broadcast. Inactives for this game, of course, Josh Palmer, Daquan Jones. We'll see how they look. Taron Johnson, moving forward, going to get some bodies back here, hopefully, to help things out. Yeah. So anyway, getting some comments here. Here's one that you guys could kind of just laugh at, but there's some stuff in here we'll get to. Worst coaching performances I've ever seen. Terry's timeouts at the end. Why do we not punt and make Kansas City go 80 yards? Sean McDermott loves his defensive timeouts. This is well established by now, right? And I think a couple times, one he called on a field goal. I think they had 12 men on the field.
Yeah.
Which is why they called the timeout. Now that's special teams. It's an issue. So, get that cleaned up. So one of them saved an automatic first down. The other one, I'll admit, guys, the 4th and 17 timeout, I thought, what are you worried about here? Like, don't give them time to think about the 4th and 17 play. To call a timeout and then give up 4th and 17 is like paralysis by analysis. It'll be the most nitpick of the game. But, man, that game was ready to end right there. You called timeout and still got beat.
And then you had the other one, I believe it was Hoyt was trying to line up Jordan Phillips. Jordan didn't really know where to line up, and then McDermott called the timeout for that one as well, I believe. Is that or that's not the 4th?
Yeah, no, that
is it?
That was a fourth. That was a different 4th down.
Yeah, that was a different 4th down.
Yeah,
they got it, but he called timeout because Jordan Phillips they had no idea. So McDermott called timeout on that one as well.
Here's an idea for you: if the Commanders lose tonight, do they trade Von Miller to the Bills to replace?
I thought Von Miller
Hoyt
played for the Bills.
Oh yeah, boy. If you know, you know.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the situation with the division race between us and the Patriots, and what do we need to beat or win the division? You need to beat New England in that game that you'll play in Week 15, and I don't know if you'll need more than that, because New England's toughest game left, it's the Bills in Tampa, and the Bills also play Tampa, so we'll see how that goes. But the Bills have Philadelphia, and the Bills have Philadelphia. The Patriots have the Giants by comparison. So, I don't want to go so far as to say you need help. You don't need it yet, but to chase down the Patriots, the number one thing they'll have to do, and the true biggest game of the year, will ultimately be the game in New England. And, gentlemen, I wonder if we don't get a scenario where, do you remember last game of the year, it's Vikings-Lions for the 1 seed or a wild card?
Yeah.
And Bills-Patriots, depending on what happens in the rest of the AFC, like that could play out to be something like that. Who else is in the mix for the 1 seed? It's the Broncos, okay. The Chargers, they're going to play each other. The Patriots, Bills, and Colts. Like, you could see a lot of leverage on that game in Week 15.
I'm not forgetting that New England has at Baltimore in December as well.
After the Bills, yeah.
I mean, I am of the belief that Baltimore is absolutely in the thick of this AFC North race. I think that they're going to be just fine, actually. So that's going to be a Baltimore team with something to play for against New England. So I think there's another game where you look at and say it's tough sledding for New England potentially.
But I also think, too, I think New England's, while we got beat by New England, I'm not so sure New England is this juggernaut that people are trying to make them out to be. And Drake May is the, the heir apparent. Now today, when you watch him play, and I watched that game quite a bit, they got to May today, a couple of big turnovers by him. They did win the game, but it wasn't as easy as people thought it would be. I think that he does get affected by pass rush. If they can put a pass rush plan together like we did against Mahomes, I think Buffalo can do some good things, especially with the back end playing the way it is and Hairston coming back and all that. So one thing about New England that I think you'll see them do at the trade deadline is try to get a running back, because right now their running game's not very good. So if you can make them one-dimensional, I think you'll be okay with them. I don't think they're quite, they're good, but I don't think they're quite there yet.
We'll get this comment in from Greg. We have to be trading for a wideout, right? So much wasted money doing very little, i.e. Moore and Samuel. Frustrating. Moore had a big catch today, but Joe, you did mention that wideout is still on the list of things you might want the Bills to pursue. And I would agree. Like, one of the things about heading into the deadline is looking like possibly the best team in football, I feel, should almost encourage you to trade for something you need to make you even better, even more. Like, maybe it's your year. If you had lost, it might be about trying to save the division race. Right here, you look like that's you at your best, and you're telling me you could maybe be even better? I wouldn't walk away from that at all. I think it's still in the mix.
Yeah, I'm obviously very excited for Josh Palmer to get healthy and back into the mix, but I just see too much opportunity with one-on-one man coverage opportunities that exist on the outside. If you could be able to win those matchups with some level of consistency, I think that takes his offense to a whole nother level. And, I want Josh Allen to be as dangerous as he could possibly be. And there's less defensive reinforcements than there was with Hoyt going down, but you still have some pieces over there. I'd love to be able to get a little bit of both, but I'm still prioritizing the receiver because I just think it's so meaningful for Josh and for game scripts and for ultimately helping your defense in a roundabout way by being more lethal scoring points.
No, I agree with that, especially after what I heard today. And I think might have been Schefter that said that Shaheed could be had for a third-round pick. I mean, I don't think that's too high. I think that kind of falls in place. If you can get a guy like Shaheed or whatever, I don't think anybody understands just how much better that makes Palmer when you get him back healthy, and a guy that can attack the underneath part with precise routes and find that space with a guy that can get downfield and stretch it vertically. So I think you're right. I mean, as much as I'd love to say, hey, let's go out and get that defensive tackle, I think right now the priority is wide receiver. Now, here's my other question to you, Joe. As a guy, can you go ahead and get a wide receiver and a defensive tackle?
Yeah, I think, you call up the Saints and you talk about Rashid Shaheed and Nathan Shepard, perhaps a combination like that. I think about Malik Collins with the Browns, although there were some reports that they're not really interested in selling. I don't understand that at all. I think you got to try to pull it off. I think the AFC is too there for the taking to not think about your chances to improve the team. Now, if this game looked different today, then I would push back. But right. I think this team proved a lot to us today in terms of what they're capable of.
This win allows Bills fans to root for the Chiefs, I think not next week, but the week after when they play the Colts. So, knock the Colts, one more loss there, and we'll see how that goes. Here's one. I'm going to set you up a comment, set you guys both up. Only one I'm fully complaining on is Terrell Bernard. Gentlemen, it's been a year for him. What'd you see in this game?
Well, first of all, like Terrell, I love the communication, but sometimes it is past when the ball is snapped, right? Like the team just struggles to line up when he's, barking out signals. So, like that efficiency's got to happen quicker. But yeah, I think some of the most frustrating completions in this game over the middle of the field were Terrell Bernard kind of getting his eyes away from where they're supposed to be in coverage and letting Kelsey kind of sneak into a spot in zone where it's like, dude, like there's nothing else. Like that is the assignment. Kelsey's here. Close on that. Don't where are you going? So I just feel like the all around inconsistency of Terrell Bernard absolutely continued in this game. And I do wonder, based on some of McDermott's messaging lately, if a healthy Shaq Thompson may have seen him playing today over Terrell Bernard.
I think, like Joe said, you've got the confusion in the zone coverages, the drop back areas, letting guys go, not getting deep enough, not getting, being too deep, all those things. And that's concerning. But the other deal is this, especially with our defensive tackle situation, the way it is, if they're not right, then it's out the gate. I mean, you saw it today. I mean, there's any sort of downhill presence from any of those from him at middle linebacker. It's just not there. And if those defensive tackles aren't right, it's really hard to stop the run in the middle.
Can I give you a name that also might be available in the next 2 days? Like, this will be our last show before the deadline, so I kind of want to move into that a little bit. Jalen Phillips, anything for that idea?
I'll tell you, I would love it. That's the type of player that I think the Bills could get creative with and rush on the inside. But are the Dolphins doing it? Because if they're really trading Waddle and Jalen Phillips, boy, those would be kind of exactly the types of players I want the Bills to get. But I don't know if they're going to trade them in the division.
I don't think they are, because if they were, I think you'd have seen Mike McDaniel gone already. I mean, while they got rid of Greer, their GM, I mean, there's been people out there saying that McDaniel's, going to go through the season. He's coaching for his future, and the only way they would make a move immediately is if they see the team quit and not play hard. So I don't know. As long as they're holding on to him, I can't see them trying to, get rid of cornerstone pieces of their team.
If it's a full kind of teardown, which is hard to identify when they just fired their GM, it's not like somebody new has been hired to do it all. If it's a full-on teardown, I don't know that you would worry about where you trade a defensive end for a third-round pick. Like, sure, in the division, but by the time you're ready to compete again, maybe you wouldn't really worry about Jalen Phillips and where he is. I saw maybe Rappaport writing out how the Dolphins could move on from Tua. And if we're at Waddle, Phillips, now how to get out from under Tua, like that is a full-on reset. And I like to point out the Dolphins were fined, right, for trying to tank before. So what are they so worried about? They might want to get rid of all their good players, tank as low as they can go, draft a quarterback, and move to the next stage. So I don't know if he gets moved, but he's an idea. And if you feel like that's the right player to replace Michael Hoyt, then maybe you pay a premium, and maybe you feel like you just go get Jalen Phillips. I don't know if the Bills could make that fit from a cap perspective. There are not a lot of guys that are easy to fit in that way. But anyway, just another idea. So the deadline is Tuesday.
My whole thing about tanking for a quarterback is who you're going to tank for. I mean, it's a terrible quarterback class.
I think there's some truth to that. I haven't gotten too much into it, but I've watched a couple of the top guys, and it's like,
terrible.
boy, I'm not selling my soul.
Sellers and Nussmeier and Drew Alar, like
Mendoza. I don't know. Dante Moore.
I mean, now, one of the highest rated guys is the dude that transferred from Georgia to Miami, and you see what he's doing. I can't remember his name.
Beck, you can't go to war with Carson Beck. Yeah,
right, exactly. And 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, everybody wanted to crown Mateer as the Heisman Trophy winner, and Mateer's nothing but a running back playing quarterback right now. I mean, I don't know who you're going to tank for, to be honest with you.
Well, without further ado, we'll get out of here. We'll be back on Thursday, post-deadline, so maybe some new Bills players. We'll see. But a big win for the Bills. Victory Sunday. Enjoy it, Bills Mafia. 28-21. The Bills beat the Chiefs, improved to 6-2, and get a great win at Highmark. Great atmosphere. It was a great day at the stadium. Beautiful weather, beautiful scene, and the Bills and the Mafia got a big win over Patrick Mahomes. So, again, give us a like, a subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. We're here in post games. We're here during the week as well on Thursdays. Jeremy White, Joe Marino, Jerry Ostrowski here saying good evening, enjoy the night, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.